On this episode of the Plateau Podcast, we have Chris Lake from Exit Realty outside Binghamton, New York. On this episode, Chris takes us through what works best for him, but also what hasn't in growing his business. Let's get started. All right, cool. Chris, thanks for hopping on the podcast with me here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, so why don't you let's just jump right into it. Let's, go ahead and introduce yourself and,
So I'm Christopher Lake with Exit Realty Homeward Bound. I'm a licensed real estate salesperson. I live in Vestal, New York, which is in the southern tier of New York, about 7 minutes from the Pennsylvania border and an hour and a half from Syracuse. I've been an agent for 5 years next month.
Awesome. When did you? So you got been doing it for 5 years. What were you doing before?
So before that, I was in facilities maintenance and construction and things like that for about 15 years. Well, 13 years at the time.
Got it.
16 years now. I've been working full time.
Did that
experience? I was 16.
Yeah. Did that experience with construction management, did that really help you translate to real estate?
Not as much as you would think. The career path that I had in that span of time that translated the best to real estate was my experience in hospitality. I came up working for the DoubleTree by Hilton for 2-3 years, and then transitioned out of that into more construction type roles and things like that with other properties, and then ended up going back to the DoubleTree, oddly enough, just before COVID, when I was really trying to get my career going in earnest, and I wanted to go to a job that I really knew I could do proficiently, but it wasn't going to be so taxing to me that I wouldn't be able to pursue my career at the same time. As where with the other jobs I was in were more of a career track, and I had to be dedicated to that one thing, and it was really making it too difficult to be able to try to create a real estate career and run my own business and things like that on a salary job.
Gotcha. Sure. What drew you to real estate?
So when before I went back to the DoubleTree for my second tour of duty, as we say, hospitality is a very, very tight link, and it's a tough biz. People typically burn out in the first 5 years, sort of like real estate. But so if you go back, it's like a second tour. But I was working for my broker's dentist. Said, I think you ought to get a real estate license. And John Farrell, who's a premier broker in our area and one of the owners of my company. And I didn't know who he was. I bought a house in the area, but I bought it with another company, different agent, one of the other top 3 agents in the last 20 years, but not him. So I meet this guy. He is like lightning in a bottle. He's very, very electric to me. And they both kind of agreed that I would maybe have a talent at doing real estate and getting my license, seeing how it went. So my boss actually paid for me to take my real estate licensing course because he that confident that I could do it. And spoke to my broker a little bit. I said, no. My boss said that he wouldn't, I spoke to my broker and he said that he wouldn't be opposed to trying to steal me from my boss. My boss actually said, no, probably that could actually end up being the best thing for you, because the construction thing was going okay, but it was really taxing to me. I'm far superior in my talents at this than I was at that. My job is kind of changing at the dentist, and I am far better suited doing this. So the two of them and really benefited me greatly, kind of is like a launching pad to being meter. So for most people I know that have made a career in this very not linear path to getting into.
So when you first got into real estate, right, were you on a team or were you kind of like on your own?
Yeah, we don't have teams in my company, or at least at my office anyway. So it's sort of like going to church, going to the gym, anything that requires self-motivation. Nobody's going to say, okay, Chris, get in the car. We're going to the gym now to go get our workout in. You're either going to go or you're not going to go. You're either going to make the cold calls, door knock, follow up on leads, or you're not. So there's an inequity there in effort, but I would say differentiates people who make it and people who don't make it. People who know what to say and people who are too timid and don't know what not to say. People who just say things just to make noise, sort of like when you're standing on the front porch say the house has great bones. And as she says this, the viral video I saw, as she says the house has great bones, because I don't know what else to say. The porch collapsed underneath with the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jeez.
just knowing what to say and not just trying to make noises.
Right. Oh my gosh. So when you first got into, since you were on your own, were you relying mostly on your sphere of influence, or did you use Zillow? How did you kind of start getting your first clients?
When you first come into the business, the key thing is the mentorship that you have around you and the people you have around you. I think that you grow the most by seeing what the successful people are doing, and just being around people who are doing things helps you stay motivated, seeing they could do that. Well, I could do that. But I've been around a while now. I'm realizing people are looking at me saying the same thing. So it's being around the office, and my office providing training every week, having this one meeting called trending topics that we used to before COVID. We'd all come in and we'd talk about whatever's going on in our market, things that we're seeing, market trends, whatever. There's a big benefit to being around people who are the heavy hitters in the market that are willing to share knowledge and to guide you a little bit. Still with me?
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, your camera.
How's that?
Yep, I see you again. But being able to go to those meetings is what kept me connected. It took me 6 months, I think, to close my first transaction. And to be perfectly honest, I had no money. I had less than no money. I was not going to renew my dues the first due, well, because I was out of money. My wife said, "You got to stay at it. I really think this could." And I said, "Can't really do this to us." Now, looking back, the dues are really kind of nominal, but at the time, we had a lot of other financial challenges, earlier things in life. My son was born 12 weeks early, so it was a motivator to being successful in this business. But we had an exponential amount of medical debt that was holding me down a little bit. But I wasn't going to renew. I had low confidence. I was having a hard time getting a deal. Weeks after I renewed, got my first deal. 5-6 weeks after that, closed my. That's kind of what got the wheels turning and held the initial inertia to be able to keep me going in this.
Gotcha. So that was like that was kind of the deal that said, okay, if I can get through the past 6 months, I can weather the storm and do this career full time.
Yeah, I mean, mismanaged expectation, shall I say, or disappointment is born, and I share that back line with everybody I work with in business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, I saw it. Just saw your screen move. I didn't know if you said. But
yeah, no, you're good.
I think that TV paints a real fictional portrayal of what they like and how much money you make. Soon you make that. So a lot of people, including me, I think, came in and I was hoping, all right, maybe this is my ticket out of being completely broke. It was, but it wasn't as instantaneous as I maybe thought it would be. It was more plant the seeds today to eat in the next seed, not eat tomorrow, right? Sort of like farming.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. So when did you kind of start? Well, I guess let me back up. So did you rely mostly on like your sphere of influence too?
So yeah,
beginning?
Sorry, I forgot to answer that. So when I first met with my broker, he said, I anticipate your first 10 transactions from your sphere of influence. For the most part, that was accurate. I did 3 deals that first year. I did 8 the following year. And so, I mean, first 11, I would say probably 7 or 8 of them were my sphere of influence. Maybe one of them was Zillow. But even now, over 100 transactions later, the majority of my business, I'm not buying the lead. The least expensive lead to buy is referral from somebody you've already done a good job with. So 60, 70, 80% of my business are all referrals or friends of friends, brothers or whatever. So I'm not going out and paying Zillow or any of the other companies to be able to buy the lead. Excuse me. Because when I first started at the biz, one of my things that I wanted to really have be my mantra was, I don't want to be somebody you refer, I want to be somebody that you just know. Like something like 85, 88% of people don't remember who their agent was years after they closed the transaction. I want people to swear by me. I want them to, kids buy with me, friends to buy with me, parents, everybody.
Yep.
Oh, hey, if you ask Chris Lake, he'll get the job done. Great job. Be drama free and smooth.
Sure. So how do you go about marketing, your past clients in order to try and get those referrals that you were just talking about?
So I actually just sent a newsletter to all my past clients and invited them to a client appreciation event Saturday.
Nice.
I'm on my dime. I'm buying everybody tickets to the local basketball game, Binghamton University, and hey, come on out. And then, I mean, what harm could possibly come? All those happy customers watch the basketball. Oh, you worked with? Oh yeah, I worked with Chris. It's a terrific thing. A lot of past coworkers, like at the dentist office, for me, a good reputation there. I gotta call Chris, and that's been like 60% of my business. And people that I worked with there that liked me, that referred me to the next one.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's what you really want. Do you use a CRM? Keep track of everything? Or?
I use about 2 or 3 of them. Because between the different platforms, it's hard to get them to integrate into one. So Zillow has the Premier Agent. My company works with a company called OnJack that runs our website, and we have a CRM on the back end called Pure Agent. And I also have another one that correlates directly with our multi-list.
Gotcha. Okay. So they all kind of do something different.
They all do the origination, I suppose, is different. The lead capture is a little bit different, and that's where. So it's just on me to be cognizant of that and going back and check. I've followed everybody, or have a drip campaign. Everybody.
Gotcha. Okay. So when did you start getting into like social media, utilizing that to, number one, get new clients, but number two, utilizing it to maybe market to those past clients?
So I think right away, because one thing that I always notice that people have said, other people I've known that have gotten out of the business have been, are you still doing real estate? And nobody asked, because they can see that I'm active on my social media content. I can see that they're looking at every story. That every story is going to get so many looks. I could tell you off the top of my head who the first 3 people are that are going to probably look at it. It's always the same people, but nobody ever has to ask me, are you still doing real estate? Hey, flattering to know that my marketing is effective. And second to that, just beef, because the stability of me with the market. That I am successful. Space. Right. And this isn't a part-time hobby for him. Bread and butter. It's all I do.
Yeah. So what kinds of content do you focus on?
Anything that's not homogenized. So one of my things across the board is, if we're doing it, I probably don't want it. Or if you're putting in a mass order for anything in the office, closing gifts, I won't participate. Nothing against what you're doing, but I'm contrarian like that. I don't want to do it. I want everything I do to be authentic to me. So, for example, I print bags of coffee with my branding on, coffee drink, and I give them out all fall, winter, spring. And that's one of my things. I magnetize all of my business. Again, one of my things.
Yep.
My broker's best friend has me hanging on his refrigerator. Our area of cards after we show the house. And he threw it on the fridge after he closed down the house. Now, of course, I didn't sell him the house. But it's just kind of a funny little joke. Chris is on my fridge, but you're not.
Yeah, that's great, right? Like it's like one of those things where, you use social media for like the high tech part of it, but like that's one of the things our company says too is high tech, high touch. But you also do it more face to face, right? So it's authentic to your voice, your brand, but you're also humanizing what you're doing, online, offline.
I don't know how many of my reels or anything seen, but I always want it to be providing value to the person watching it, not providing value to me. Like, yay me, I made a sale, yay, my market share is this, listed this house, open house, because people get tuned out to that very quickly. I'm one of my favorite button in my email is unsubscribe. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's not providing value to me. Why is it clogging up my email?
Right.
And the video, the things that capture me, the consumer, are things that are either interesting, quirky, value add.
Right. Educational, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So kind of going off that, what types of engagement do you look for? Like if you were to post something, let's say it's educational, you're educating somebody on, I don't know, the appraisal process or whatever it is, right? Home inspection process. Is there a specific type of engagement you look for? Whether it's comments, shares, anything like that?
I don't even care if it's negative, I'll engage with it.
Yep.
You can't ignore any engagement, positive, negative, or neutral. You have to engage with all of it. So if it's a Facebook review and it's negative, I will think of the most appropriate thing to say and I will write you back. I've got 2 1-star reviews in my Google profile right now with people that are mad that they did not get a highest and best. And I wrote them back and I said, hey, I understand you were emotionally invested in purchasing a house or you not have submitted an offer. But unfortunately, seller chose in their choice, go different offer in the confines of the contract. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Wishing you the happiest of holidays. One guy's Christmas Eve. So I think I like to keep those in focus more so than, hey, thank you for liking my post, because you'll get plenty of those, but I think it's how you manage or mismanage the negative feedback that could define your position in this space.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. You have to respond to everything, in a professional manner, even if it's negative. I get negative comments all the time, Was there a fear? So this is kind of something I always ask everybody too. I mean, obviously we're on camera right now and, recording, not visually too. So we're doing it both ways, but was there a kind of a fear for you, like getting in front of a camera?
Not really.
That you had not really? Okay.
In the beginning, I think it's all directly related with what your confidence is and where you are in the business. For example, so like I had somebody call me about a listing a week ago. I told them what I provide, told them what it cost and all that. And they said, all around. I said, okay, well, I would encourage you to do that. Call 3 or other people. That is your responsibility to yourself to make the best deal. Get it in the way. Get it. And if at the end of the day, you'd like to work with, feel free to call me back. Rewind 5 years. I would not have had the confidence on that. I would have been a little more kind of like chase, more of on the chase. Right.
Okay.
It's a lot like dating.
Yep.
When you're needy like that, nobody wants you, right? But if you're confident, say, hey, fine, do whatever you got to do. It puts you in a far better position mentally.
Play hard to get.
Not even that. Just you don't even have to play it. You have to believe it, right? I'm just confident enough that if that person went to somebody else, one of my competitors, fine. I will go work with somebody else and I will shift gears. That person called me back and we're working together. Now we have multiple offers. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to deliver on what I said I was going. One of the key things in business, right? File, time, please and thank you. What the hell you say? Dentist I work for taught me that. And if that's if you can deliver on your product, have a client for life. So she called me back and we're doing business. But you have to have that inner confidence and content out, I believe, or to share. Not shake. So I wasn't scared to be in front of the camera initially, but I was not confident in the content I was providing. Really know, am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to say the wrong thing? I just had to log the miles so to be able to have the comfortability in being, and it's become one of my strengths.
Did you ever use any scripts or anything like that in the beginning just to make sure you were saying the correct?
So that's the problem. Is if I have a script and I try to stay on script, I go off script. I forget where I was and I go back in. So I ad-lib everything I do. Absolutely everything. Now, if I'm giving like a speech, I'll have a framework or an outline that'll work. But I mean, I'm going to riff everything in the stanza. So just how I operate, because I'll think in the back of my mind that the newest thought is the better thought than what's written down. That's where it gets all jumbled up, because I want to say that this is my one opportunity. I want to say the better thing in the back of my mind, but it doesn't dive, and then it sounds like. ingredients
Yeah.
don't quite go together.
Plus, it's your authentic voice itself.
Yeah, I'm okay to
You're
say
not-
likes or any of the videos because I don't want it to sound rehearsed. I want it to sound like I want it to be authentic from me to you, giving you advice like an older brother. That's how I try to do.
Yeah. Yep. Is there any accounts or any social accounts that you follow to try and get inspiration? Whether it's something that they talked about, obviously you're not copying what they're doing, but maybe it's something that a topic that they talked about. Any accounts that you kind of follow that kind of give you inspiration?
One social media channel that I like to follow and not quite emulate, but I like the way that they deliver is This Old House, TV show from people that are around 40, and the way that they deliver the content, even on their channels, still typical. Any of those guys that are participating with that, they are authentic and they're value adding to you, not to them. And it's all information, educational, really authentic. Feel like it's your dad or your uncle kind of giving you advice. And that's really comforting to me. Draws me in to want to watch another.
Yep.
Which is sort of the objective here. Gary Vaynerchuk says you're day trading attention.
Do you follow a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk?
I do.
Yep. Yeah, he's obviously he's been doing it for. I mean, he was like one of the first guys on YouTube, like Wine Library, when he first started, right?
Yeah. And he's still to Wine Library, and he wants to buy the Jets. And his sister's actually a broker, Liz Novello. She's in New York and New Jersey. Give her a shout out. And really, really gracious. I don't ever talk to her about her brother, right? I talk to her about her and her business. He's in my business. Not. What a rude thing that would be anyway, to go to somebody and be like, hey, tell me about your famous brother.
Yeah.
I would never. Right. That's a quick way for somebody to never want to talk to you again, too.
Yeah, for sure. Do you, so we're talking about a lot of, content and what works and that kind of thing. Do you use a content calendar to try and, stay organized, or you kind of just like, if something pops in your head or something's trending in the market, you just go with it? So
I've got a reminder in my calendar to make content every day, right? That's kind of my mission. I don't make content every day. There's some people that say that they specific days on the calendar where they just film all day and do outpitching all that night. Never can't, because if I try to assembly line it like that, it's not going to be up. I don't love making content as much as you would think, but I know that I have to. So if I'm going to have to do it, I want it to be good. I don't want to be Boston. Are you familiar with the band Boston?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were contractually obligated to make more albums, but they broken up as a band. They deliberately went and made crappy albums. I don't want to make crappy albums just to make albums. I want the content to be good. So if I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to go out of my way to make content. If I'm having a good day today and I'm feeling good about things, dressed nicer than I usually probably am, of course I'll make some content. I'll make content out of this. I'll cut it up, make a couple of reels, whatever. It'll be great. But it's got to be good. It just can't be. You can't just be throwing crap against all the ceiling.
Right. It's always tough too. Do you do any time blocking or try to time block?
So I learned that from the dentist I worked at. Time block everything. That way you can be deliberate and intentional how you utilize your time. Otherwise, it's just trying to catch fireflies, and that's really a horrible way to try to run. I want to know that I blocked off specific times in my week for family time. Now, that doesn't mean I'm exclusive to that, and I won't go show a house of it. Well, I'm review. I will, but I will be intentional. Try to schedule around those. Where if there is flexibility on certain, I'll also put in pick up a commit, drop off a key, do all the things, make sure that I'm being as efficient as possible. And lining up showings, I want it to be the most possible. I don't want to tag you all now, and I want this end to that end, part way by the house.
Yep.
By the house.
Yeah, so you're pretty deliberate about, or try to be pretty deliberate about your week. Is there a specific day or time that you specifically use for prospecting new new clients, and then
Anytime
with that,
there's a
there's
specific gap in the schedule, really. If there's nothing written on the calendar, that doesn't mean back and play Madden or something. Sitting across the table from the guy who does 180 deals here, and I'm listening to how he talks. Right, maybe riding with him or following up with a prospect. It's always something to learn, right?
Mhm.
Want to get better I've only been around a short while.
Yep. Yeah. So obviously we've been talking a lot about, more organic content, more and organic ways that you've used to kind of grow your business. Do you plan on doing any kind of paid advertising or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had the opportunity, I'd certainly look at it, right? Because it could become part of my business model. And giving me more time to make more content, right? I mean, the time is the ultimate, no return on it, but can make or not make money. Not every minute of the day should make money, right? Sleep, yeah. Friends with me, ever. If there's things that are making money when you're doing those, that's a wonderful thing. Residual, how we eventually can get out of production someday and off every day, whatever, YouTube channel.
Right. Yep. What's your ultimate, kind of like going off that a little bit, like what's your ultimate business goal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that the retirement party for a realtor is their funeral. So I really don't know. I could really do this the rest of my life if I really want to. Part of me wants to maybe get into coaching, training, things like that down the road. I don't mind being on camera. I don't mind being on stage. I happen to like it. Now that I've been around in the business a little bit longer, there's agents advising, looking to guide them. Big shift. And some of the older agents, people that have been around longer than I have, they're coming to me with questions. Wow, this is really, really flattering on one hand. And on the other hand, it was kind of a reality check of where my position in the marketplace is versus where it was. And it opened my mind up to different opportunities. I'm also open to maybe leadership. The associate professionals, realtors, if I ever have the opportunity there. I'm in the local leadership officer. Greater Binghamton is president-elect for that.
Nice. Congrats.
But we'll see. I'm open to these things.
Yeah, so that validation from younger agents, but also experienced agents, kind of caused you to have like this mind shift, right?
Yeah, I thought I would sell and stay in production forever, but maybe that's not necessarily the end game. That's okay too. I certainly enjoy doing that now, but I don't know if that's going to be what the finish line looks like in 20 years.
Sure. That's interesting. So, do you do like a lot of like training for the younger agents, whether it's writing a contract or sharing with them, how you grew your business? Like what types of things have you gotten into with those younger agents?
So like everything else, that's kind of ad-libbed when they can't get a hold of anybody else at 9:30 at night on a Sunday and they're writing their first offer. I think that a lot of people tend to think that I will pick up the phone, and I will, and I'll help you. I'm going to say, hey, sorry, Chris, you're on your own. Call your sponsor, call your broker, whoever.
Yeah.
Not going to. People have been very generous with me, their time, and I'm trying to pay that for the next person behind me.
Sure.
So it's not necessarily, but find training, things like that. I do training at the association for a couple of things, but within the company, it's more so somebody asking me for help or asking me when on the fly and helping them.
Gotcha.
Maybe that's the book idea someday. We'll call it ad-libbed real estate.
There you go. So speaking of that, we're kind of like coming up here on the end. These are 3 questions I ask everybody that comes on, right? So the first one is, what's one book or podcast you think everyone looking to grow their business in real estate should read?
So one book that I've been given, QBQ, Question Behind the Question, one. It basically takes you in your mind space from having any sort of a victim mentality to shifting to, well, how did we get here? Did I not focus on the relationship enough? Is that why this customer went from me to the other person? What can I do better than me, instead of putting the burden on the customer. It's them. They're stupid. They're me. They don't care about me. What about me? Ask more questions. How did we get? I could have done better. Could I have been on time? Was I late for an appointment? Not totally monopolize yourself with freeing about with how to fix the situation. It's already over, right? Like in hospitality, you say, you do with an angry customer who walked out the door, nothing, ever coming back. Think about it the same way. How do I take care of the person, even if the conditions aren't ideal in the moment? Hospitality, we have the Make It Right handbook. You're in a hotel, I was the maintenance. Doesn't work. I want to make sure that you come back. Part of the brand standard. So I'm going to give you a gift card to the restaurant, like that, or points, or figure out which is more important to you, points or gift card to the restaurant, and also fix it. Also do it in a timely manner. Set the expectation. If I can or cannot fix, like before you go to bed, give you the options in a position. Setting myself up for success that way instead of saying, "Well, they're just dumb."
Yeah.
You can do that.
Do you know who that book's by? Yeah. Do you know who it's by?
You know,
How can I put you on the spot with that?
QBQ by John G. Miller.
Okay. Cool. All right.
But yeah, so that nice.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So next one, what should everyone who is a real estate agent either stop doing or start doing?
Stop trying to be like the people on TV. Get around the local producer that's really, really humble, and listen to how do they talk to people. So that's the best thing that I've ever latched on to. As I jumped in the car with John Farrell and just listen. I wasn't listening to the content of any confidential conversation. Cadence, delivery, what he said, how he said, why he said it, knowing why he's. Sometimes people they don't know the nuances of everything in the business, and they're scared to be professionally embarrassed. So then again, they're talking to make noise, to get out of their depth really quickly. Don't do that. Be around people who know. Ask questions when you can, but watch them do and emulate what they're doing, but put your own spin. I don't try to be John Farrell any more than he tries to be, or anybody else should try to be the other person, but see what's working.
Yeah. And see what's working for you, right? Like it might work for them, but if you put your own spin on it, you might find it a different way to go about it and get the same result.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then, okay, last one. Where can everyone find you online?
So they can all find me a couple of different ways. They can go to @ask_Chris_Lake on Instagram. On Facebook, it's @AskChrisLake, all one word. I made a mistake when I was setting up the Instagram account, and I couldn't get the same handle on both. Or they can text Ask Chris Lake to 85377 or my mobile business card, or they can text List with Lake to 85377 or my smart sign vanity code for Exit Realty.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. There's tons of good stuff there.
Yeah, I hope so. This is the first podcast that I've ever really done, so thank you very much for that, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. Hey, I'll send you some stuff.